Okay, today's video is on Omnisphere 3, as you can probably tell by the overlay right here. I'm going to go through the things that I like, the things that I don't like, and basically anything that I find to be of note. So we're going to go through the sounds and everything you can do with them. We're going to go through the preset organization, how we form banks and favorites, and just how we navigate all of the sounds that we want to use. We're going to go through the MPE-compatibility, which basically, to me, means that I can now use my Rolly C-board with Omnisphere, which is super exciting and long awaited. And I'm going to go through some of the new functions like the Mutate function, and I'm going to go through the Arpeggiator, which I find to be one of the most in-depth and powerful arpeggiators of any VST out there. So let's jump right in. So the sounds in Omnisphere are amazing and deep. I'm not going to play through like a million of them because I actually already did a video where I played through a whole lot of them. You can check that out right here. But I'll play through a few. So let's check it out. This is polytheremin. This is vibrasinus lead. This is one of my favorites, crush tone keys. And this one is Boards of Edinburgh. And this is Sub 37 Ocarina of Mine. This is Wobbly Oboe Stops. And this is Flippertronics Flutes. A beautiful Mellotron-esque type sound. Omnisphere is actually secretly great for Mellotron sounds. I had no idea about that, but there's a bunch of sounds like that in here, and I absolutely love them. So, what makes these sounds great? Because there's all kinds of VSTs out there, and there's a ton of deep and beautiful and complicated synth sounds that you have to choose from. Well, in my opinion, one of the things that makes Omnisphere unique is the sheer power of the layering. So check this out. Now, in Omnisphere, you have patches and you have multis. A patch can have up to 4 layers, A, B, C, and D. This sound only has 1, but if I move to Cerebral Recharge, you can see that A, B, and C are being used, so that's a 3-layered patch. And each layer can have envelopes and LFOs and effects and arpeggiators and basically anything you can do with synthesis. You can do that times 4. And then with a multi, you can do that times 8. So you can get crazy deep and complicated with the sounds that you can make. So I want to show you what some of these multis sound like. And once again, a multi is a sound in Omnisphere that's made up of multiple patches. So it's got a bunch of different layers going on. And this is where you really hear Omnisphere shine in terms of what's possible with the sound design. So this patch is called Granular Lullaby. This patch is called Galactic Evasion. As we can hear, there's a ton going on. This patch is called E-bowed Piano Q. And this patch is called Bit Crushed Signs Groove 2. The next thing that I'm super excited about in Omnisphere is MPE compatibility. So if you follow this channel, you know that I play a Rolly C-board quite often. And one of my big hangups was that I couldn't use it with Omnisphere. Now, granted, there's a lot of programs you can't use it with because not everything runs MPE. But I really always wanted to do it with Omnisphere and I couldn't. Now I can. So that is awesome. And all you have to do is once you pick your sound, you just go to System and you just check the little box that says MPE. And it's basically as simple as that. It just works. So that's super cool. Okay, so next I want to go into one of Omnisphere's brand new features, which is the Mutate function, which is very cool. I'll just show you first and then I'll explain it. So here's that Crush Tone Keys patch again. And if you see this button right here that says Mutate, once I click it, it changes the sound. Now, how does it change the sound? I'm not exactly sure. It's not the most predictable. I think it just changes the parameter in possibly some kind of randomized way. It definitely sometimes is adding things that weren't there before. But the basic point is you click it, it changes the sound. Now, obviously you can go in and tweak everything in a very specific way if you know about filters and oscillators and LFOs and envelopes, but you also don't need to know about that stuff to vary your sound and vary the presets. So I'm just going to click Mutate, and it generates essentially a different version of our patch. I'll just show you a few examples of that. Basically just changes the patch. Is that practical? Am I going to use that all the time? Remains to be seen. I think I value that kind of granular control that you have over the sound rather than just clicking a button and having it change in a random way, but could be interesting for some. Maybe I'll end up using it. We'll see. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is the preset organization and how we get to everything. So let's go back to this, and okay, so I just click on this magnifying glass. This brings up the deeper presets browser. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't have the easiest time in the world wrapping my head around this. You can do everything you need to do for sure, but in the very beginning, the simplest things like favoriting my sounds, adding them to banks, and recalling those banks easily, everything was like a Google search. Everything was a little bit annoying. I just didn't find it to be intuitive, but that doesn't mean that it can't do everything you need it to do once you kind of wrap your head around it. So I did break through the learning curve, and it is a little bit better now. Sometimes I still get annoyed, but I don't mind this overall. You can pretty easily get to everything you need. You can star things, you can rate things, and you can add them to projects. Projects are basically Omnisphere's equivalent of what we would think of as like a bank, or just like a favorites bank. And we can recall those decently easily. Now, once again, it's not like the most intuitive thing in the world. I wish it was a little different, but it's okay. You can do everything you need to do. Okay, the last thing that I want to go through is the Arpeggiator. Now, I am quite excited about the Arpeggiator because it can do everything. Everything. It can do everything. So what I mean by that is that, well, I'll just show you first. 32 steps by default. We can, easily make that 16 if we need it, just by dragging that slider. We can click steps on and off. Very simple and intuitive. We have options for how we want it to voice our arpeggiator. Right now it is on as played, which basically means that whatever order I played the notes in, that's the order in which it'll arpeggiate, but I can also set that to up, down, random, all kinds of other things. I'll just set it to up. 16th note subdivision. Obviously this section is where we can choose what subdivision of the grid our arpeggiator is going to play at. So if I move it to 8th notes, it is now 8th notes. Now, one unique thing is that often on an arpeggiator, we have either a tempo sync mode or free time mode. And, if we check the tempo sync box, the timing slider or knob or whatever changes to rhythmic subdivisions of the clock. If we uncheck it, it changes to milliseconds or something like that for free time. In this, we actually have both options, which is pretty unique. So I can go from 8th notes, 16th notes, and triplets and dotted and whatever. But I can also use this speed dial to just speed it up and slow it down from there. Whether I would actually ever use those things in conjunction with one another, not sure. We'll see. But it is cool. The length dial is how staccato or legato our notes are going to play. And you can edit that on a per step basis by clicking Shift and altering the step. So if I just, make a few of them staccato, it's going to sound like this. And that's pretty easy to do. Swing, I think we all know what that does. Humanity and life, I'm not exactly sure what the difference between these two is, but it definitely introduces some randomness into the timing, into the staccato and legato, and into the velocity. Sounds pretty cool. So I'll just turn that all the way up. Actually, I'm going to move this to 16th notes so you can hear it a little better. I'll turn the life dial all the way up too. I have to imagine that does something similar. Obviously that doesn't sound very musical right now, what I have going on. Octaves, up to 4 octaves, so that's great. Latch, where, I just hit that button, hit the key once, and the arpeggio just keeps going. That's pretty great. What I really like is that we have this top section where we can transpose a note, we can introduce slides. So let's see, let's put a slide in this first note. Let's make it slide up an octave. I think that's really cool. We have step dividers, so I could make it play like a four note stutter. Very cool. Something that I wish that it had is actually like a chance parameter. I really love the logic step sequencer for this. You can introduce kind of like a probability into each step. Like you can set it so that a step will sound 50% of the time or 5% of the time or whatever. And it's cool. I wish that was here, but it's fine. This can do basically everything else. There's tons of other new features too. If you're interested just in hearing the sounds, click on this video right here because I did a whole no talking video and you can check all that out there. But until next time, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.